20 questions to ask yourself in the still of the night, whether bright-starred or half-mooned, in the midst of the day, as you go about your living and learning, when rising freshly to the morning, to the unfolding of more curiosity, possibility, surprise. The number of them doesn't matter, nor time, nor place. Only how heartful, how truthful you're asking, how meaningful the answering. Questions that here and there want to be posed, mused on, even if there are no clear or ready answers to be found or heard. Questions only you, with all innocence, can ask, must ask, without pause, of your deep knowing self. Welcome to the latest Floating Poetry broadcast, and thank you for leaning in your night or your day from someplace in the world, ideally a quiet place to pause and listen. I'm glad you're here for show 160, which is coming to you live from the life-giving, soul-filling coast of Rhode Island. This is your poet and poetorialist Colin Goedecke, a voice for living our days more fully, more alively, more poetically. Last week's theme was, there's more for you to discover, for each of us to discover. Other beautiful things to be found inside people we know, inside ourselves, in nature, in facets and moments of our daily lives, and the fabric and flow of the world around us. Things we didn't know, hadn't gleaned before, have yet to experience, especially when we come to it all in a true and truly active spirit of discovery, of fired up curiosity. Well, this week, I think a time in the world, especially everywhere in the world, of great questioning of what's going on in the world, and what's going on in ourselves. So this week, questions about your life. Questions I felt worth asking. All of us asking ourselves, and you asking yourself. Worth visiting and pondering, whether for the first time or revisiting as you journey along in your life. Ones that I hope may help you reach more and more to the heart and root of who you really are, why you're here, what truly matters, how you want to be and live, maybe very differently from wherever you are and however you're living now. What connects you to nature, to your humanity, to other people around you. So I've laid this broadcast out as an orchard of questions for us to reflect through together. I hope fruitfully and for you to contemplate beyond. I've paired some cultural commentary and echoing poetry, we could say, with each of them. So let's open ourselves to some vital and I hope vitalizing self-inquiry. And perhaps we'll see. We may go a bit longer than usual this show. We'll see. Well, let's start with a poem by David Whyte. Sometimes, if you move carefully through the forest, breathing like the ones in the old stories who could cross a shimmering bed of leaves without a sound, you come to a place whose only task is to trouble you with tiny but frightening requests, conceived out of nowhere, but in this place beginning to lead everywhere. Request to stop what you are doing right now, and to stop what you are becoming while you do it. Questions that can make or unmake a life. Questions that have patiently waited for you. Questions that have no right to go away. Thank you, David Whyte. Sometimes. This is from siftingtothetruth.com. I'm always looking for interesting sites and sources that I don't know, including ones I do know and go back to because they're good ones. So the siftingtothetruth.com, new to me, on self-inquiry. We believe we are individuals living in a world. We are not. We are actually the awareness within which these thoughts appear. A key requirement for self-inquiry is a quiet mind, a mind not overrun with distracting thoughts that can therefore concentrate on the meditative practice of self-inquiry. The mind need not be perfectly quiet. That's not even possible, just quiet enough. In my experience, what is required to get there is twofold: a good intellectual framework for the journey of inquiry and being honest about what you want. From the Marginalian in praise of walking on a poetic manifesto for our simplest instrument of discovery, transformation, and transcendence. This is Thomas A. Clarke's book, 1988 chapbook in praise of walking. He's a Scottish poet. That something exists outside ourselves and our preoccupations, so near, so readily available, is our greatest blessing. Well, I find walking a perfect way to be reflective in mind, but also viscerally in body, wordlessly, like this morning as I walked along the ocean. And Clarke says this: early one morning, any morning, we can set out with the least possible baggage and discover the world. It is quite possible to refuse all the coercion, violence, property, triviality, to simply walk away. That something exists outside ourselves and our preoccupations, so near, so readily available, is our greatest blessing. A journey implies a destination, so many miles to be consumed, while a walk is its own measure, complete at every point along the way. There are things we will never see unless we walk to them. Walking is a mobile form of waiting. What I take with me, what I leave behind, are of less importance than what I discover along the way. Thank you, Thomas Clarke. Like that. That was new to me as well. How to Love the World More, George Saunders, Saunders, on the courage of uncertainty. This is from his book, A Swim in a Pond in the Rain. And in there, among a few other things, in a world full of people who seem to know everything, passionately, based on little, often slanted information, where certainty is often mistaken for power, what a relief it is to be in the company of someone confident enough to stay unsure, that is, perpetually curious. The instant we wake, the story begins. Here I am, in my bed, hard worker, good dad, decent husband, a guy who always tries his best. Geez, my back hurts, probably from the stupid gym. And just like that, with our thoughts, the world gets made. Or anyway, a world gets made. This world-making via thinking is natural, sane, Darwinian. We do it to survive. Is there harm in it? Well, yes, because we think in the same way that we hear or see, within a narrow, survival-enhancing range. We don't see or hear all that might be seen or heard, but only that which is helpful for us to see and hear. Our thoughts are similarly restricted and have a similarly narrow purpose: to help the thinker thrive. All of this limited thinking has an unfortunate byproduct: ego. The feeling of fondness for the world takes the form in Chekhov's stories of a constant state of re-examination. Am I sure? Is it really so? Is my pre-existing opinion causing me to omit anything? He has a gift for reconsideration. And it's hard. It takes courage. We have to deny ourselves the comfort of always being the same person, one who arrived at an answer some time ago and has never had any reason to doubt it. In other words, we have to stay open. Easy to say in that confident New Age way, but so hard to actually do in the face of actual grinding, terrifying life. As we watch Chekhov continually, ritually doubt all conclusions, we're comforted. It's all right to reconsider. It's noble, holy even. It can be done. We can do it. We know this because of the example he leaves in his stories, which are, we might say, splendid, brief reconsideration machines. Well, I'm going to go back and read some Chekhov again after coming across that. Maybe you too. Well, I usually devote a segment of each show to one cluster of thematically related questions. And as I began to mention at the beginning, in the introduction here, this broadcast, the lion's share of it is, I'm choreographing as a series of larger questions for you, a string of calls, we could say, for your contemplation and your response to self. I mean, if you want to respond to me, that's lovely, but more important to have the dialogue with you, with your own self. So let's begin with this question for you. Are you living and loving out loud? Are you embodying and expressing your true self, your whole self, your fullest self, your freest self? Are you? Here's a call to expression of mine for you, for all of us. Let's have it. All your color and flavor, light and shadow, saltiness, sweetness, your fresh squeezed juice, juiciness, the pith and zest, sinew and marrow within, all the laughter and the tears, your unbidden laughter, unhidden tears, your face as a visible, changeable weather map, full of sun or rain, blue or gray, heat or cold, squalls, gales, jet streams, waterspouts, showing us the days, seasons of your patterns, moods, and forecasts. Tell us of your life dreams, heart's desires, your quests and visions. Give us the play of all your postures and gestures, ways of engaging, acts of responding, how your body can speak, dance, love without words. Share with us the voice, songs, chords, sculpting, scrivenings, colors, and brushstrokes. All the expressions of your being, of your making, of your spirit, kindling. With no holds, no binds or blinds. Free as a bird, as a kite, as the wind. Just letting it rip, letting it flow, letting your soul glow through your eyes and skin. Giving us all the wholeness, the largeness, nuance, exuberance of your here on earth, rare on earth self. Oh yes, let's have it. To which I'm going to add, if not now, when? My friends. Be a soloist. S-O-U-L-O-I-S-T. The soloist, who steps onto the stage every day, whether the house is full or empty, loud or hushed, dark or brightly lighted, and opens his or her soul to sing, sometimes find its extraordinary song, a song no one else on earth but they can sing, but all awakened souls can hear, do deeply, movingly hear. Are you a soloist? You want to be? Well then. William Stafford's poem, The Way It Is. There's a thread you follow. It goes among things that change, but it doesn't change. People wonder about what you are pursuing. You have to explain about the thread, but it is hard for others to see. While you hold it, you can't get lost. Tragedies happen, people get hurt or die, and you suffer and get old. Nothing you can do can stop time's unfolding. You don't ever let go of the thread. Thank you, William Stafford. It's one of my favorite poems of all times. Another question for us, for you. Can you describe the person you wish to become? Rob Bresney, show me your glory. You were born bearing the seed of a gift that you have not yet fully expressed, a specific treasure that you alone were made to offer the world. It has been ripening all these years, sometimes through your initiative and sometimes with life's intervention. When will you be ready to welcome the unprecedented responsibility it asks of you? When you are, it will ripen and blossom in all its splendor. Begin singing early. Be the first bird at the first light of your day, to fill the silence with song, with your song, with the hymn of your heart, the music of your mind, the melody of your body, with a singular song, one that comes from the mouth of your soul, comes early and daily, when you let nature, your nature, have its open, wide way. Speaking of nature, here's another question. How often are you quietly, undistractedly taking in the beauty and harmony of nature, of the rest of the living world around you, of which you're a part? Are you seeing it? Are you hearing it? Are you feeling it? Words from the earth, before you ask. Land dwellers, sea rovers, tillers, spelunkers. Before you ask the questions many ask, have asked since man first appeared here, or may in time dawn in your mind, or form on the lips of your fellow creatures, about me. Look from heart and root across this place, at this oasis, into this whole intelligence I offer you freely, share with you generously. And you might then sense the answers, might well see, feel, and receive your answers. From a summer in the countryside, a few years back, can you taste the green? On the tongue of your nose, the greens of a northeast summer, sultry summer day, the scents of sweet grasses, languid trees, and curling vines, fanning fronds and sunning fields, all lushing, infusing the air as you slowly move, taste, breathe through their sensuously redolent aromas. Uitwaaien, a Dutch word that means to go out for a stroll in windy weather simply because it's exhilarating. Friends, let's find all such kinds of simple, footloose exhilarations, shall we? Maybe starting today or tonight, or at the latest, tomorrow. Another question. Where do you belong? If it's where you live right now, literally, how do you know it's where you belong? And if it's not, where else do you belong or want to? Where do you feel most at home, outside of your own home? And what about being at home inside yourself? Where is anywhere else calling you? Well, I have a marvelous friend, among others, up in Maine. He's one of my main man, M-A-I-N-E, and spirit brother. His name is Richard Allen, and he's up on the mid-coast there, and this is dedicated to him. The forest is his living room. The Maine woods, the coastal woods, where coming into spring he resides, is at home, where he keeps a fire burning by his old canned ham camper, where daily and stewardly he removes the snaking vines strangling the trees to reuse them, rework them by sculpting them into life-size horses, stallions and mares, maybe the odd moose that'll gather and pasture together in the nearby field. Here in his arboreal living room, a living space Thoreau and Muir would enjoy, would smile upon across their own well-timbered time. David White, Camino. The way forward, the way between things, the way already walked before you, the path disappearing and reappearing even as the ground gave way beneath you, the grief apparent only in the moment of forgetting, then the river, the mountain, the lifting song of the skylark inviting you over the rain-filled pass when your legs had given up, and after, it would be dusk and the half-lit villages in evening light, other people's homes glimpsed through lighted windows, and inside, other people's lives. Your own home you had left, crowding your memory as you looked to see a child playing or a mother moving from one side of a room to another, your eyes wet with the keen, cold wind of Navarre. But your loss brought you here to walk under one name and one name only, and to find the guise under which all loss can live. Remember you were given that name every day along the way. Remember you were greeted as such, and you needed no other name. Other people seemed to know you even before you gave up being a shadow on the road and came into the light, even before you sat down with them, broke bread and drank wine, wiped the wind tears from your eyes. Pilgrim, they called you again. Pilgrim. Thank you, David White, as always. Camino. Dear listeners, are you going where the joy is and going there often? Are you a joy seeker? Are you a joy bringer? This is a poem for the airs of life, the joys of inhaling. Sea-salted air, mountain-peaked air, the resinous morning air of an old-growth forest. Spring-fed, autumn-leafed, deep wintered air, the luscious air of the tropics, the bone-dry air of the desert, the ionized air before a storm, the fresh-washed air after rain. All the joys of inhaling, drinking from the well of nature's life-pouring, life-giving air. Which is also part of why I live here where I do and by the sea, because of that life-giving air. Joy riding. Not the reckless kind, or involving anything high speed, or stolen. Rather the ride your heart takes you on when you fly through the clouds or down the roads of new love or newly discovered passions, inspirations. Rides that, however long or short, are fully and wildly joyful. Take you to places of great aliveness. Require no permits or permissions, no brakes or blinkers, only your willingness to go along, only your allowing of all the joy to rush through and around you. Be a free and full-on joyrider. Are you relaxing enough in your days, your nights, in your week? Relaxing, finding ease in your body, finding ease in your mind, your heart. Finding and taking enough solitude, enough alone time, still time, to reground, to rebalance, to reflect. Unlace yourself. Loosen your belt, your grip. Unclench your jaw. Sit back, ease back, stretch out, all the way. Relax your mind, your usual schedule, your hard and fast rituals. Now soften your gaze, your shoulders, your breath. That's it. Why hold on so tight? Why not just let yourself unbutton, uncork, roll with it, instead of steamrolling it, and see how it all the more naturally unfolds. The Art of Lying Fallow by the Pakistani-British psychoanalyst Masood Khan, Khan. on the existential salve for the age of cultish productivity and compulsive distraction. This is from his book of essays, Hidden Selves. Definitely worth a read. I'm going to give you a slice of it. It is a strange and uncanny result of urban civilization and the impact of technology on human experience that leisure has become a pursuit and an end in itself. It has gradually become an industry, a profession, and an imperative social need of the individuals in modern societies. Everyone strives for more and more leisure and knows less and less what to do with it. The craving for it and the concomitant yearning for distractions to fill the void of given leisure is the result of our failure to understand the role and function of the need to lie fallow in the human psyche and personality. We've industriously misinformed ourselves about the essentials of human nature. We've confused the necessity to relieve human poverty and misery with the demand that all life should be fun and kicks. The entertainment media of modern cultures have further exploited this leisure void for commercial gain and flooded citizens with ready-made, switchable distractions so that no awareness of the need to develop personal resources to cope with fallow states can actualize as private experience. Thank you, Masood Khan. This is from a spring equinox, 2019. Serenely centered. You're floating straight up, above a field or an ocean, a forest or a mountain. Your limbs are loose, your gaze is soft, a warm breeze plays on your skin. Centered over your head is a great sun, below your soles a great moon. The three of you, floating together, balanced weightlessly, cradled gently in space in the open sky. Your three bodies a trinity of light and lightness, serenely centered with the earth, the fertile earth, your home, your breathing and birthing place, being and becoming place, that turns itself now slowly, now surely, again to flower at your feet. Stay centered, my friends. Are you and how are you nourishing the well-being of your body, your mind, your spirit? Going hungry. What happens when you don't feed your heart, your soul, the deep nourishment it needs, it deserves? The daily regimen, bread and wine of joy, of deep loving, being deeply loved, as essential as the air you breathe, to sustain the whole of living. Going hungry, going without this way, without this bounty of milk and honey for your spirit body, flesh and blood body, is no way for anyone to be or choose. No way for you to thrive or stay vitally alive, especially when it's all there for the inviting, the allowing, and partaking. From Maria Sabina, a Mexican healer and poet. Heal yourself with the light of the sun and the rays of the moon, with the sound of the river and the waterfall, with the swaying of the sea and the fluttering of birds. Heal yourself with mint, neem, and eucalyptus. Sweeten with lavender, rosemary, and chamomile. Hug yourself with the cocoa bean and a hint of cinnamon. Put love in tea instead of sugar and drink it looking at the stars. Heal yourself with the kisses that the wind gives you and the hugs of the rain. Stand strong with your bare feet on the ground and with everything that comes from it. Be smarter every day by listening to your intuition, looking at the world with your forehead. Jump, dance, sing so that you live happier. Heal yourself with beautiful love and always remember you are the medicine. Muchas gracias, Maria Sabina. Beautiful. It was sent to me by a friend and listener. How deeply do you feel things? And when was the last time you cried? And why? When have you cried a river over a deep sadness? What about a deep happiness? It's a poem that I had written back in time in 2007 for a dear man of the Pacific Northwest, a man I knew and greatly loved. He was the grandfather of my then daughter-in-law. His name was Earl Burgett. This was on his 83rd birthday. He's not with us anymore, at least in body, but he's definitely around in spirit. Earl's eyes, blue as blue hydrangeas. They've seen the world at war and peace, mountains and the men who move them, children and grandchildren come and childhood go, thousands of moons full and waxing, suns rising, faces of all kinds and cultures smiling. They've opened widely in love and closed shyly in kisses, cried for a lifetime of joys and sorrows, of sentiments and great moments of exuberance. And the more they see and let and light inside, the more we see through those luminous, endless blue eyes of you. Toast to him always, and all the memories I have of him and beautiful energies of him. Let Your Heart Be Broken. This is the title of Tina Davidson's book. She's a composer. Let Your Heart Be Broken, life and music from a classical composer. The miracle is that we rise again out of suffering. The miracle is that we create ourselves anew. So the book is about how to live with generative brokenness. And it's a memoir of hers. And it's a lyrical reckoning of what it takes to compose a life of cohesion and beauty out of shattered bits and broken stories. Let your heart be broken. Allow, expect, look forward to the life that you have so carefully protected and cared for. Broken, cracked, rent in two. Heartbreakingly, your heart breaks, and in the two halves, rocking on the table, is revealed rich earth, moist, dark soil, ready for new life to begin. Tina Davidson. Are you tending, appreciating, fully celebrating your best friendships, your loving partnerships, any kind of partnership with another? Seen with joy. I see you, says the one, emerging from the forest. I am here, says the other, meeting the kinsman in the clearing. The same way African bush men and women for centuries greeted one another, rejoiced in the seeing and being therewith for each other, with such exclamation, exultation, is how I, maybe you too, desire to be seen, received, and be present to every significant other, friend, loved one, lover. You are here. You see me. I am here. I see you. Might be a good custom for us to adopt of those bush people. Here's an honoring. True friends, dear friends, rare friends of our past, of this present, especially brothers and sisters of the soul. All gratefulness for their sacred reciprocity, for seeing us our essence and allowing us to see them and theirs, for letting us be ourselves freely, entirely, abundantly, for being faithful witnesses, champions, encouragers on our journey, its highs and lows, its wise steps, encounters, stumbles, for adding to our liveness, largeness, wholefulness, for holding a space for our becoming, for loving us without conditions, without exceptions, without judgment, for simply joyfully anticipating sharing any time and space, life, our lives allowed, allow. And whether communing or quietly idling, carrying on, adventuring along afresh each time, however short or long the gaps between our meetings or conversing, and feeling the other's molecules, even when away from our confrere's company, for affirming the light and innocence of our spirits in word and gesture, for appreciating the rareness of our kindredness, savoring its sweetness, for letting the rivers of our hearts, our minds, our deep caring, come together, flow together, to make a channel of beautiful and true friendship possible. All our thanks. My friends, are you cherishing the best past and present experiences of your life? Experiences of deep sensing, transporting revelation or understanding. Ones that beautifully filled or inspired or shaped you, or all of those things. Here's a poem by Constantine Cavafy. Remember, body. Body, remember not only how much you were loved, not only the beds on which you lay, but also those desires which for you plainly glowed in the eyes and trembled in the voice, and some chance obstacle made them futile. Now that all belongs to the past, it is almost as if you had yielded to those desires too. Remember how they glowed in the eyes looking at you, how they trembled in the voice for you. Remember, body. Thank you, Cavafy. Here's one of mine. This was from my grandfather, my father's father. Whiskey sours. Now I know why you loved the taste of that froth and tartness and whiskey on your tongue. The wisp of a sip I had of it each time you kissed me on my boy lips when you came to visit. Now that I have, in my later years, come to appreciate and ably make that classic cocktail, among others, that sour, 2 parts bourbon, 1 part freshly squeezed lemon juice, simple syrup, and egg white, all dry shaken, then again with ice, poured, and now held in my grown man's hand, that you'd appreciate, that we'd clink with, grandfather to grandson, and in return, that I sip and savor, and raise here quietly to honor those sweet days and my always good memories made of you. Drink from the well. Draw from the well, the deep well, the cool, clear wellspring of your memory. Drink at will, at ease, from the dipped ladle or from cupped hands, the fresh waters of your best rememberings, cherished unforgettings, the well you keep refilling, never to fall low or ever run dry. Are you grateful, dear listener? And what are you most grateful for? How graced or fortunate or well-favored has your life been in the greater scheme of things? And how do you go about expressing your appreciations? Here's a poem for presence. I'm glad I'm alive today. I'm glad I could open my eyes, see, and breathe today. Could hear, taste, eat well today. Could stretch my limbs, move my body. Take in the softness of the clouds, the greenness of the trees, summer breeze, and blueness of the sky. I'm glad I could find joy today, find ease, feel loved and loving. I'm beyond glad I could be present, so present to this day, to this life, to the world around me, to the whole world within me. I'm glad. And you, friends, what are you especially glad for in this life? How open are you to new ideas, new ways of thinking, new and different experiences, to other ways of living or believing or being in the world. How wide open is the window of your awareness? Is the path to yourself? Is the door to your body, to your heart, to your soul? Are you to believing you can have any kind of life, many kinds of lives? To realize every waking day, every dreaming night, you're swimming in a wide, open sea of possibilities. I was going to share with you Rumi's poem, and I'll point you to it. Unfold Your Own Myth. It's a wonderful poem, and I want to keep us in relative time. But I'm pointing that to you to go to. Are you having adventures, large or small? Looking at life with a sense of adventure and discovery? For after all, it is a great adventure. Every day, the life itself. It's so full of marvelous and miraculous happenings, openings, and enterings. Well, apropos, I have a new poem, quite new, for a man now off, as we speak, to explore his nativeness, I guess we could say, the genuineness deep within himself and the world, as he has set off for the next 2 years by motorcycle around the world. His name is Alex Schwarzkopf. This was a send-off poem for him as he goes about the world on this journey. Now, Voyager, as you make your way across countries and continents, cultures and customs, meeting a world of faces and voices, stories and mysteries, as you travel through time and timelessness, consciousness and sentience. May each day bring you gifts of all kinds, gracings, generous and spontaneous, especially pure beauty and wonder, deep solitude and adventure, and move you to bring the gifts of your whole self, heartful presence to each day. Each voyaging day and night under the sun, moon, skies, and faithful stars, singing the song of your soul as you go, listening to the song of the earth as you go, to the hymn of humanity, to the hum and great om of the universe. As you walk, ride, and flow freely and easefully through it, may you discover things about yourself and life you never imagined, and things you have, trusting your knowing and unknowing at every turn, and returning home from the far reaches and inner spaces of the world wildly safe and widened, deepened, and ripened, into the arms of all those you love, all glad for your journey, and the embrace of whatever life awaits you calls with fresh promise and new purpose to you. There's a Zen saying, leap, and the net will appear. Rob Bresney. Time magazine asked Pulitzer Prize-winning historian David McCullough why he started writing a biography of Pablo Picasso, but never finished it. McCullough said it was because the famous artist turned out to be boring. He attracted a steady flow of new lovers, and he made hundreds of aesthetically pleasing paintings, but he didn't actually live an interesting life. I invite you to be the anti-Picasso. Put the emphasis on the quality of your adventures as much as on what you produce. Regard your life as a noble and inspiring work of art. I like that. I wonder what Picasso would say, what Pablo would say if he was still around about that. Of course, we didn't live with him, so we don't quite know, but he certainly created some extraordinary art. Are you a possibilitarian? Do you believe in more or greater or other possibilities for your life, for yourself? Bernard Roth in The Achievement Habit says, statistics show you trends, They can't predict your life. Likewise, consider that the odds have always been against greatness. If one were to decide on a career path just by the odds of financial success, we would have no movie stars, authors, poets, or musicians. The odds of any one person becoming a professional, self-supporting musician are very low, and yet, turn on the radio, and you hear hundreds of them. The odds were against the Beatles, Elvis, and the Grateful Dead, too. They could have been, quote, scientific about the whole thing and chosen more reasonable career paths, and what a loss for the world that would have been. If you succeed, the odds are then meaningless. Any path may have a 2% success rate, yet if you're in that 2%, there's a 100% chance of success for you. The long shots are often the most rewarding. Bernard Roth from The Achievement Habit. Seeker, whoever you are, wherever and however you are, I tell you, even now, there are waters, great waters, of aliveness deep inside your being, ones yet to be found, yet to behold, be tasted. A great river of aliveness, wholeness, and possibility flowing within you. The same river that flows through the living world, the natural world, that flows from the same source, that follows a course all mighty rivers follow, to a greatly opening, welcoming sea. Joyce Sutphin, the second half. Everyone will go on celebrating the old birthday, counting the years as usual, but I will count myself new from this inception, this imprint of my own desire. The second half of my life will be wide-eyed, fingers shifting through fine sands, arms loose at my sides, wandering feet. There will be new dreams every night, and the drapes will never be closed. I will toss my string of keys into a deep well, and old letters into the grate. The second half of my life will be ice breaking up on the river, rain soaking the fields, a hand held out, a fire, and smoke going upward, always up. Thank you, Joyce Sutphin. How caring, my friends, are you about your community and the lands and welfare of your country and the well-being of humanity? How caring. This is on the invention of the self. It's from Andrea Wolf, W-U-L-F. Her book, Magnificent Rebels, The First Romantics and the Invention of the Self. It's the story of a circle of friends and lovers in late 18th century Germany who refined their ideas in ricochet, ones that shaped our present understanding of art and nature, mind and reality, the world and ourselves as function and functionary of it. Magnificent Rebels. So here's a piece from that. On the legacy of those romantics, she says, life is a negotiation between our rights as an individual and our role as a member of a community, including our responsibilities toward future generations who will inhabit this planet. How can we live a meaningful life in which we determine the direction of our path while also being a morally good person? How do we reconcile personal liberty with the demands of society? Are we selfish? Are we pursuing our dreams? Are we treading on someone else's liberty? Are we looking only after ourselves, or others, or both? We have entered a social contract with each other and with our governments, agreeing to abide by laws and conventions. Yet this only works if we are free and trust one another at the same time. Thank you for that, and I think those are good, worthy questions for us right now. I was thinking and gathering material for us about what we're deeply committed to as a person, but also as a citizen of wherever we live, and about being champions, champions of our collective well-being. This is from thedailystoic.com. As the founders signed the American Declaration of Independence, they knew that this wasn't some painless petition. This wasn't some minor political stand. No, they knew as they wrote, they were mutually pledging their, quote, life, fortune, and sacred honor. It was a cause they were willing to give everything for, even die for. The question for you today and always is, what do you pledge your sacred honor to? What are you fighting for? And are you aware of the costs? Are you fully committed? This is not something to be done lightly. Honor matters, but it also matters what you make a matter of honor. Fight on. Fight hard. Fight for the right things. So I was thinking when I read that, decided to include that, of this piece I wrote as an anthem poem for the Truth Foundation of the United States, where I served since 2017 and still as a poet laureate. And it was part of also my poetorial as a cultural contributor for the 2018 Winter Olympic Games. The times of truce. When the blowing winds cease, when the swelling seas settle down, when the earth enters a still point near dawn, near dusk, or the night skies grow silent with stars, whenever the world of nature makes peace with itself, and man mirrors that peace in himself, gives free leave to his fellow man, these are the times when rare and graceful plumes of truth, deep spirits of unity, community, can be found and greatly felt by everything living, be remembered and honored by everyone, young to old, hearkening. Times of truce. And how, friends, how we greatly need truce of all kinds today, social to political to environmental. Do you feel likewise? Maybe you do. All right. And we come now to our last palmful, perhaps I would say, palmful or so of life ponderings. This was written, actually this May, came to me, through me. How's your appetite? For life, for love, for joy, for nature, for wonder, for adventure. How hungry are you? From the orchard at Sunnybrook. It was a country place of friends back in time. West Brookfield, Massachusetts. June 1999. 3 green graces. 3 ancient apple trees dance in the midday breeze sweeping over the lawn and lift their summer skirts to show us silver linings. 3 green graces, long limbs sculpted by seasons of country time, joined in a circle, offering their lovely shapes and still, lush tresses and centuries of fruitfulness. Wendleberry, the peace of wild things. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things, who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For the time I rest in the grace of the world and am free. Thank you, Wendleberry. Beautiful. The Irish philosopher poet John O'Donohue said, "Take time to celebrate the quiet miracles that seek no attention." Let's enter each day newly, dear listeners, freshly. You can, we can. I hope you will. A new day, brimming with new ideas, energies, beautiful possibilities. A new day flowing, flowering here on earth. A new day for you to be alive, to love, to be loved. And last for now, this poem I just composed for Memorial Day and on Memorial Day here in America. Memento mori. Remember that one day you too will die, will cease being here in body, in breath, will join all those across time, across the earth, through times of war and ones of peace, who have left the world, have gone on, crossed over to another world, maybe to a place of endless wonder. Let the precious fleetingness of their lives remind you of your beautiful mortality, of your own and everyone else's beautiful impermanency. Inspire you to appreciate and make the most of the gift of your life, your days, your hourglass moments while you're here. Thank you again, friends, for leaning in, questioning, and reflecting in. Thanks, too, for sharing these shows with others, as you do, and I encourage you to do. Feel free to post the show link or the whole playlist out to your friends, to your social media, so we can engage other kindred spirits. All are welcome. I do invite your comments and questions, and your donations to support and sustain my efforts bringing you these free-to-all weekly programs. If there's a theme you'd like me to have a future broadcast on, send an email, colin@thepoetorialist.com. What about your experience of this show? On questions about your life? I'd like to hear. If you are sending me a contribution, you can do so simply by Venmo to Fivefold, Fivefold, at pipeline.com, or PayPal to the same email. Or mail a check to me, P.O. Box 1032, Westerly, Rhode Island 02891, or donate through my site, thepoetorialist.com, and the Donate tab. I can be sponsored or directly hosted as a working poet in residence in the U.S. or elsewhere to create a new flight of poetic art and dedicate it to a patron. Reach out to explore. And remember, you can hear all the broadcasts online on YouTube, on the Floating Poetry playlist, and soon also up on the Poetisphere, which, if you're interested, you can stay abreast of. That oasis of regenesis for the wider world I'm leading. It's coming this summer. Go to the Poetisphere.com for a taste of what's ahead. Meanwhile, I hope you'll lean into another broadcast, past or forthcoming, soon again. Till then, dear listeners, contemplate the quiver of questions we spoke to here, we raised here, we reflected on here, and the vital and meaningful ones that arise inside you as you move through your days along the arc of your being and your becoming. Goodbye for now. Good pondering and good spirits.